Hey, what's up, universe? It's 7:25 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, September 30th, 2023. Going to be a bit of a meandering here. Just a couple things to kind of update. I completed my paperwork for the barista job, so I filled out my I-9 and put myself, it was all online, so there wasn't a way for me to fill out any paper forms. And I asked the HR woman today if there were any paper forms to fill out because of what I'm exploring. There's a certain way that I'd like to fill things out. So that being said, there weren't any paper forms for me to fill out, and I informed her that I am tax exempt and that I've established a different relationship with the IRS, and she was receptive to this. And so I was able to put on the W-4, both for Kansas and for the federal exempt. And I told her that I'd be providing her a W-8 BEN that they can file. And so that's going to be going, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited to put this into a practical application. A couple people have asked me about this a little bit. It's not any one process. There's not somebody's process that I'm following. The revocation of election is basically the way that I did it. It's 3 documents that I sent into the IRS in one package. There's my statement of intent, which is basically letting the IRS know that I'm revoking my election to pay taxes because it is something that we elect to do. We contract into doing it. Unwittingly, honestly. And then there's an affidavit that I got notarized, also stating my intent to change my request to have my status changed. And then there's supplemental documentation or supplemental proof, which were 98 different reasons as to why taxes didn't apply to me, likely why they probably don't apply to you either. And I thought about I could read some of these. I have the document up right now. And like I said, I would like to go through and speak about this in more detail after I have received my first paycheck, so I can show my stub without the taxes being withheld. And then also just having more information on the practical side of what it's like to work with the HR people to, if they have any questions or anything like that. Some companies accept the W-8 BEN, no problem. Some companies straight up deny them, which they can't do because it's a legitimate IRS tax form, and they can't deny the type of information that a potential employee provides to show their tax status. Because that's basically my relationship between me and the IRS. This is more or less a formality to the employer to say, hey, you just don't withhold taxes from me. And it's outside of what they, at that point it becomes my relationship with the IRS. And like I said, I'd like to get my feet under it a little bit more. I don't have anything prepared, you know what I mean? So this is all off the cuff. And it's my first time going through it, so if I sound slightly uncertain in some ways, it's because I am in some regard, because I haven't actually done this yet. So this is my virgin voyage, so to speak. So there's just a little bit of topic about that, my update there. And I will be starting my orientation on Tuesday, so I'm excited about that. So that ball is rolling. Aside from that, I hung out with my boys last night, and that was fun, and that was good. I asked both of them, I let them both know what's going on, what had transpired in the day. I'm very transparent with my sons. I parent very differently than maybe most parents do, and I think that works for us as far as my relationship with me and my boys. My oldest son, Odin, that was probably the most interesting conversation. I could tell that he was very confused about what had transpired in a way. And then to kind of dovetail with that, Odin had informed me that Reese had reached out to him. Reese and I had a wooden box that we bought together, and she had it still in California, and she thought Odin would like to have it. And so I guess late last week she reached out to him and asked him, for his address so that she could send it to him. Of course, I had no idea about this. So when Odin told me this, it just kind of brought up some energy for me, where I was like, there's a lot of WTF energy that came up yesterday, a lot of it. And I was just feeling more into it today. And yesterday was just a great day of release. It was like a purge. So when Odin told me that, and this was like late last night, it really shifted my energy towards Reese, where like I mentioned in my previous video that September was kind of an awkward month in a way because stuff was just coming up for me to metabolize around our relationship. And while that's true, what was interesting about that experience when it came up is that there would be part of me that missed some things and were sad about some of just the way that Reese and I were with each other. Not all of it was bad, and there were some really good ways that we loved each other, and so I would find myself missing that. And at the same time that I was feeling that, I would feel really grounded in myself and being like, knowing that we made the right choice, that it wasn't meant to be. So it was this weird duality occurring while I was grieving. Well, last night after Odin told me this, that shifted my energy, and I was feeling into it more today. And I definitely have more of an ardent, hard line stance towards those relationships in my life, right? Like, so my sisters, my family, my mom, and now Reese, where, and even like, it's hard for me to describe. Even the guy that I was friends with, that I had mentioned in a number of videos ago. So if you're just kind of playing catch up with this, there's a guy that I knew from my childhood that became involved in the divorce because he's a lawyer, and so he mediated, basically. Handled the paperwork for our divorce, and once that energy was entwined and entangled, that shifted things for me. And so even my hard line around that particular relationship, there was just things that have really crystallized, is basically what I'm saying. I've had a lot of very, very strong energy, and so it feels like a big-ass release. And in some ways, I'm really excited about that because that's a shitload, that's a big-ass energetic real estate that's opened up, and the universe abhors a vacuum, you know what I mean? And so when things open up like that, that means that there's room for new things to come in, and I feel like I've definitely unwittingly, and I didn't even know, I was totally asking for that through my intentions and everything. I didn't know it was going to happen like that. Yet nonetheless, I recognize it as energetic space that has opened wide up, including the car. And I'm grateful that the car was a part of that, to tell you the truth, because there wasn't a way for me to sell that car. I didn't have the title, and so for it to be repossessed, honestly, best thing that's probably ever happened for that scenario. So I'm okay with that, which is going to lead me into another thing, which that made me think about this. My first ex-wife, Angela, has been amazing throughout this whole thing. Ever since I'm just honestly, the last 4 or 5 months, has been gracious and kind, and just way more generous than I ever would have thought or asked, for. And I'm just super grateful for that. And even her current husband, who's never acknowledged me, by the way, never spoken to me, has never acknowledged me. He has even been generous towards me, most notably last night. So, I wasn't sure where I was going to sleep. where I was going to stay. Odin has, Odin is in the middle of transitioning a couple of vehicles, right? And so he has a car that doesn't really run, and I was offered to be able to sleep in that car for a few nights. So I have that through Monday morning, and I found that to be an extremely generous offer. And there's just other things that, other forms of assistance that they've shown up, for me, and I'm deeply moved by that, and would never have anticipated that, and I'm extremely grateful for that. So I want to acknowledge that publicly. It's a huge deal for me, and I'm very grateful. I think that's probably really about it as far as any big kind of updates. I do want to say this because it was a comment on one of my videos, and since it was a public comment, I want to address it publicly. And it was a question about my priorities, and in a way, I don't know if it's because of the energy that I'm in right now, and I feel a little standoffish, maybe a little ardent, a little bit, confrontational, and I'm being mindful of that energy. My whole thing is that only I know my priorities and only I know my own path. So are my priorities straight? I would always tell you yes. Because I don't view my choices as right or wrong. I don't believe in good or bad. I believe in what is. Everything just is, and everything is a lesson. And I don't know your path any better than you know mine. And I don't know anybody's path, right? I just know my path. And this honestly is why I'm pursuing what I'm pursuing, both with the IRS and with other things, is because I absolutely believe in individual sovereignty, each one of us. And I'm an ardent proponent of that for each individual. And so when questions like that are posited to me, the first thing that comes up to me is that it seems like somebody presupposes that they know something that I don't, or thinks that they know something that's better for me than I do. And I find that if that is the case, if that assumption is correct, and I'm going to go ahead and own that it's an assumption, because I could be wrong in that interpretation, so I'll own that. If that interpretation is correct, then I would find that to be a very arrogant stance. Because that would just seem to be that you know better than I do, and if I were to take that stance towards somebody else, that means that I would know better than they do, and I don't enjoy that. That's not how I operate. So again, I could be wrong on that interpretation. Sorry about the noise, although I guess I can't control that. So that's pretty much what I have right now. I did ask, just to wrap it up, I did ask both of my children individually if they were upset with how I am. I asked them alone, individually. I was like, look, are you bothered or upset with how I am, or like how I've lived my life? And both of them told me no. And Odin specifically went into a little bit more detail. And I could just tell that both of them, I think, appreciate how I live my life, because it translates into how I parent and how I treat them, which is, they're individuals, and I don't judge their path, I don't judge their decisions, and I've been telling them for years that I don't know what their truth is. I'll never know, because I'm not them. I'm not them. So for me to assume just because I have the role of a parent, and that's a title, that's a man-made title, I view myself more as a spiritual guide. Like, I have experiences, I definitely have like what I would like to have for them, I have preferences, but I certainly am not going to go as far as to say that I know what's right for them, because I certainly have no clue. I don't know what their path is. I don't know what lessons they need to learn. I don't know any of that. That's between them and the universe. And, that's not to say that they couldn't make decisions that I would disagree with. That's not to say that I couldn't be hurt by them. That's not to say any of that. It's just to affirm their truth and affirm their path. I'm more inclined to honor that truth and that universal principle than to impose my will upon them as far as what I think is right for them. Because treat others as you would want to be treated, right? And I definitely am going to take my sovereignty and my liberties with that, and I'm going to give that to others as well, you know. So that is that's my philosophy on that kind of a thing. So anyway, I've been chatting for just a minute, so I'm going to wrap that up because that's about what I got. All right, I appreciate you guys listening, and thanks for being here. Thanks for journeying with me. All right, I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.